Rocky Snyder at Rocky's Fitness Center. It is week 5 of shelter in place here in Santa Cruz. I've got my assistant fellow trainer, Julian, here. He's going to be helping us out. And we are going to be getting into some senior fitness. Now, just because we call it senior fitness doesn't mean you have to reach an age requirement. We're not going to card you like it's a bar. That's all right. You can do it if you're feeling maybe even younger than your years. If you're in your 30s, 20s, whatever. This is going to actually be very beneficial to anybody. But we also want to try and target those people out there in the audience who've been sitting at home and feeling like I've had enough Jeopardy for the day, or the Wheel of Fortune rerun is just too much for me. I got to get up and move, right? Okay, so the first thing we're going to have you do is, I'm actually going to use Julian a little bit as my demonstration model from time to time, and I'll sit back and talk a little bit about what we're doing, but we're going to have you wake up all the nerve endings in the surface of your skin. So I'm going to imagine that we're in separate showers, but we're in the shower, and I want you to start off with just scrubbing your hair. Give yourself a little bit of scalp massage. Just rub and follow along, please. Just going to rub all around your scalp, and you can even rub your ears a little bit. Remember to wash your face, so you're just taking your hands and rubbing all over. And you're going to work your way down your neck.
Oh, you didn't take that, huh?
Exactly. You've been working out a lot, so we definitely want to get under the arms, all along the outside of the arms, the forearms, underneath the upper arms, the armpits, down the torso, across the chest. And we're just going to keep on working our way. And if you're going to reach around the back side of your mid-back, behind your shoulders, and so on, make your way down into the hip region, around the back of the thighs and inner thighs, and all we're doing is just through touch, through tactile sensation, we're just alerting all of the nerve endings throughout our body that it's time for them to get moving and wake up. Because what will happen, the longer we are sedentary, the less likely these nerve endings get stimulated. And so the first thing we want to do is make sure we woke our body up before we even begin moving it, because the last thing we want to do is be asleep while we're moving. Does that feel different?
It feels good. It feels pretty nice, I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, so it feels pretty nice. Not gonna go there. All right, so now that we've got that there, that's really nice. We've just woken up your body, and hopefully you're feeling the same way. Now, a big component that most people that are 65, 70, and then on into their 70s and 80s, the thing that they come in here really wanting is to improve upon their balance. They feel like, oh, for whatever reason, I just don't feel as agile, my balance is off, I have this really significant fear or apprehension about moving because of falling. And the last thing I want to do is fall down and hurt myself. So we're going to be dealing quite a bit with balance in this program here. And the first part that we're going to really focus on is an element of balance that probably not many people actually deal with. And that is the more the neurological components. Where do we get our balance from? Well, of course, doing balance exercises and doing different movements are going to help out. But where we get the majority of our balance is through our visual field. In fact, 70 to 90% of our balance is going to come by what we see around us. And a simple example would be to bring your feet close together where you feel like maybe a little bit challenged with your balance. And very briefly, I want you to just close your eyes for a second or two, and then open them back up again. And instantly, you should feel how much more compromised your balance became as soon as you took your vision away. Now, that's taking it completely away, but what if the signals that go from my eyes up to my brain aren't actually as specific or as fine-tuned as I would prefer them to be? The information or stimuli coming through my eyes to my brain is not being interpreted in the way that I would like it to be to make my body feel upright and safe. So we're going to do some visual drills to improve the way in which the stimuli travels to my brain and the way the brain interprets it and the signal that it sends back out. And we'll see if by doing a few of these visual drills, if that improves our balance. But the first thing we need to do is establish what our balance is to begin with. So let's do this. Just like you did before, you're going to stand with your feet close together. But it could be very close together so they're touching. What we're truly trying to find, though, is a place where your balance is subtly compromised. Not to the point where you're going to fall down or you're feeling unsafe. We always want to feel safe, but slightly challenged when we're doing these things. So, Julian, when it comes to you, I can see that's not very challenging for you. I mean, you can stand there for quite a while, right? So, what we could do, if that's your place that you feel safe but challenged, great. That's what we're going to come back to as a reassessment after we do a visual drill. But in Julian's case, I'm going to try and challenge his balance a little bit more. Let's just see what balancing on one leg feels like. So just taking one leg on the ground, off, that's it. I'm just kind of looking to see what is his body telling us. Is he relaxed? Is he clenching? Is he wobbling a lot? What's his foot doing? He's got a little wobble, so yeah, that might be a challenging one. Tell you what, you've done quite a bit. Let's switch legs and do the same thing on the other leg, and we could find that your balance on one leg is actually much more compromised.
He's going to walk around on this leg all day.
All right, much more stable. He's going to just hop around on his right leg and make himself feel balanced. Now, let's just say, so your left leg was the one that was more compromised in your balance? Okay. Now, let's just go one extra step. If you were finding that bringing your feet close together was your challenge point, great. If you found that balancing on one leg was your challenging part, great. But there are those people out there saying, no, I'm feeling really good. I'm not challenged by balancing on one leg. Let's do what's called the Romberg's stance, named after a guy named Bruce. Yeah, just kidding. His name was Romberg. And what we're going to do is you're going to put one foot in front of the other. And
I had no idea where you were going with that. I was like, no way, Bruce Romberg, huh?
No, it's people name things after themselves, I guess, as a way of continuing their legacy. So, Mr. Romberg put one foot in front of the other with the heel and toe in alignment. And that's a Romberg's stance. How is that for you?
A little bit of wobble.
A little bit of wobble. So I might actually have Julian either try and reassess his balance on his left foot, or I might actually see what it's like in this Romberg stance. Okay, so now we know how we are going to assess whether or not these drills are appropriate for us, if it gives us better balance, or if it makes our balance worse. We know which ones we're going to choose, at least in the time being. So here's the first one I'd like to do. The eyes can stare straight ahead, but they can also stare in different directions, say up and down and to the left and to the right, and also an upper diagonal in either left, right, and a lower diagonal left and right. So in truth, there's going to be 9 positions that we're going to assess your ability to hold your focus or your vision. So Julian, what you're going to do is you're going to just take your thumb out at about nose level, and you're going to stare at that for 5 seconds. And you'll notice he's standing comfortably, he doesn't have his feet together or anything. And there's 5 seconds. Okay, now I'd like you to assess your left leg single balance and see if there's any difference.
It's a little more wobble at the ankle.
All right, it's a little bit more wobble. Okay, check your Romberg stance just for the sake of it. Let's see what that's like.
It's better.
It's better. All right, cool. So this might be just as simple as it sounds, but staring straight out and locking on a target is sending nice stimuli to the brain, letting him know that, okay, my visual field is actually up and running, and I know where things are in space, so the body's ability to balance is actually going to be upregulated and improved. Okay, that's one. Let's keep your head still, keep it level, and bring your arm up above eyebrow level. So keep your head level, though. Don't look upward with the head, just the eyes. 3, 2, 1. And then we're going to check his balance again. And we're just going to go rifle through these.
One more time.
All right, that's good too. Okay, head level, getting your thumb down so you can drop your gaze downward. There you go. 3, 2, 1. And hopefully you're doing the same thing at home. You've assessed your eye position straight ahead, upward, and downward. Better. So the interesting thing is he's actually feeling quite the difference. And hopefully you're doing the same thing. You're noticing, oh, that was a good position for my eyes. Or, ooh, that made me wobble, kind of a threat response as we call it. Okay, so we've gotten those 3. Let's go side to side. You're going to take your right arm and place it out to your right, but not so far out that your left eye can't see it. So that outline of the bridge of your nose, you want to have that thumb in front of there. That's right. And then reassess your balance. And the purpose of assessing and reassessing is to understand what eye position we might want to favor to improve upon our balance before we begin exercise programs.
A lot better.
A lot better. Over to the right.
Over towards the right.
Things are getting better. Okay, let's try to the left. And remember that outline of your nose, the bridge of your nose, you want to make sure that your right eye can still see that thumb on the left-hand side. 3, 2, 1. All right, reassess. We've just got a few more. Oh, yeah. He's definitely feeling like, okay, eyes right and eyes down were the two big ones right now.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to be doing some sort of exercise that's going to require better movement and balance, I might just want to kick these things into gear by just waking up my nerves, by rubbing my body, bringing my eyes over to the right or down in Julian's case. Let's go up and to the right now. So the eyes are going to be traveling up and to the right. Your head is going to stay still though. Yeah, don't tilt it. 3, 2, 1. All right, reassess.
Ooh.
He's all over the place.
Nope, that didn't do it.
Okay, so in the future, those are the ones that I would actually like to explore. Why is he losing his balance when his eyes go up and to the right? But for today's class, we're just going to focus on the ones that give him the better
I
balance.
swear I'm a good driver, guys. I swear I'm a good driver.
Well, fortunately for social distancing, I won't find that out anytime soon. Okay, let's go up and to the left with your left arm reaching up and your head still pointing straight ahead. There you go. Going up and to the left. 3, 2, 1. And now reassess at home. What was that like? Whether it's with your feet together in the Romberg stance, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, or that's good too. All right, so far, eyes up and to the right, eyes over to the right and down. Those are some pretty good spots. All right, let's go down and to the left and down to the right. Your choice, whichever one you want to go. These are the last two. So, being sure that you can see it, your head stays level, and just bringing it down and across to the left. You hold for 3, 2, 1, and reassess. What is your balance like?
Better. Still a little bit of wobble, but settled.
Okay, cool. Now some of you at home may be saying, well, the more he does this balance on a single leg, the better he's going to get because he's training himself. That's not actually the case. You're going to find that your balance will be compromised or inhibited based on what stimuli your brain's feeding it. So let's go to the last one, down to the right. And reassess. Let's see what your balance is like here. All right.
Yeah, so that down to the right.
There you go. You would think that he would be improving because he's been practicing this in the last 5 minutes or so, but, well, as we can see, that's not the case. All right, so far we've got your eye field mapped out, your visual field. Straight ahead was pretty good. Up and to the left, up and to the right was really good. Down, straight down was good still, and over to the right was really good. So if we map that out, I might in the future go, okay, we're going to try and feed movement down and to the left, down and to the right, or up into one, or over to the left, right? Those are the ones that I might want to start to see if I can't improve some stimuli to bring up his balance overall. Let's just do this instead. What we're going to do is we're just going to make eye circles that go through all of those fields. Hopefully we'll encourage all of the strong fields to help lift up the weaker sides. So, Julian, you're going to have your arm out straight in front of you.
Does that matter?
It doesn't matter which arm you use, no. So I would like you to go around the clock, just kind of slowly, and what I really want you to do is try and focus on your thumbnail the entire time. Do not lose focus from that thumbnail. Beautiful. This is a nice drill to just wake up all dimensions of eye motion. Okay, and then that's a nice one. It's always nice to reassess how every movement does, but what is that like?
Ooh, that's a wobbler.
He's wobbling. Okay. Now for some of you, however, that could be a really nice movement to stimulate all the areas of your visual field and improve your balance. So for Julian's case, I'm just going to say, okay, we're going to stick with isometric focus points, either up and to the right or down or straight ahead or up or wherever the case was that he had the best responses. Now, we're going to do just one last visual exercise, and then we're going to work on the vestibular system of the inner ear that also assists in maintaining better balance. Now, the last visual one we're going to do is we're really just going to see how well can you maintain focus at things that are coming close to you and things moving further away. So it's going to deal with your focal vision, how well can you focus on something that's moving, as well as how well can you have your eyes move separate from one another. Because right now the eyes have moved in the same direction based on where the target was. But as something comes closer to you, now the eyes must converge toward that object. So you're going to have your arm out in front of you. Still, we're going to stare at that thumbnail. And you're going to slowly draw your thumbnail toward the very tip of your nose. And then you're going to allow the arm to extend all the way back out again. What I'd like you to do is this about maybe 3 to 5 repetitions. And it's okay if you start getting blurry as you get closer to the tip of your nose. And you may actually start to see a little double vision. And you can go right up until that point. But if you start seeing double vision, go ahead and pause maybe there and then go back out again.
One last one.
Okay. Now, I'm really interested in how well he performs the single leg balance now. Solid.
Not bad.
Interesting.
But
all right.
A little bit of blinking to reset myself for sure.
Yeah. So the blinking he was experiencing could very well be a way that the body was actually fatiguing. It was getting tired from all this visual stimuli. You might experience your body temperature increasing. You might experience a flush, maybe even some perspiration, a subtle mood shift. And also the blinking. All those are valid ways of the body telling us, hey, we're doing a lot of work here. So let's just quiet down the visual system because hopefully everything's feeling good with everybody else back home. But sometimes all this visual stimuli, which it's not going to get your heart rate up and it's not like you're going out for a marathon run, but it's still stimuli to our system. Let's quiet it down. What all you're going to do is you're going to close your eyes with yourself in a comfortable, safe place. So if you need to be sitting down, you go right ahead. But if you're fine standing up, that's great. You're going to close your eyes and you're going to take the palms of your hands and you're going to cover over both eyes. And you're not going to allow any light to travel in. You're going to take away all light stimuli from your visual field. And you do that for maybe about 5 to 10 seconds. And then slowly remove your hands from your eyes. Yeah.
Like a new man.
Isn't that different?
It is.
It's crazy, but that actually settles things down.
Subtle, but it's a difference.
It is. And the more you do this, the more you can actually experience how that sensation is. Okay, we've done visual exercises. Let's move on to the vestibular system. That is those vestibules, the chambers inside the inner ear, hence the name vestibular system. We're going to just do a little bit of head turning. So here's what I'd like you to do, is you're going to find not the most challenged position to stand, but the one that's just outside of that. So if you felt very challenged with your feet touching, go ahead and give yourself maybe 1/2 step apart. If you found that Romberg's position was challenging and very hard, then you can also widen your stance just by a little bit. And if you really want to try and do the single leg balance, you can do that, but you also may want to just take a toe tip of the other leg and just gently rest it on the ground and make it a little easier. And here's what we're going to do. We're just going to turn the head to the left and to the right. But what I'd like you to do is keep your eyes facing forward. So lock on something off on the horizon and go ahead and turn your head left to right about 5 times. And we want to go kind of quickly, because the fluid inside the inner ear, the vestibular system, is what we're trying to target, to wake up that fluid and the nerves that connect to it to send signals up to your brain. That's it.
Whoa.
And there he goes.
And there we go. Down goes.
You can see, moving the head is going to greatly affect your balance. All right. And just out of curiosity, go ahead and check your single leg balance.
Still a little wobble, but it settles down.
It settles down.
All
All right, cool. So these head turns, they can be side to side. Let's do one more head turn, but it's going to be a nodding action. So same stance that you chose prior to this. I'd like you to just nod your head quickly up and down. And that's about 5 to 10. Okay, and then relax there.
unstable at the ankle.
Unstable, so you're feeling a little challenged.
Yep.
All right. It might be something we build up into. How about one more? We'll just do one more. This is a different area of the vestibular system. Rather than turning the head or nodding up and down, we're going to move the head back and forth, almost like a pigeon walks across the ground. You're just going to move the head forward and backwards in that manner. Let's see what that's like. Yeah, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back for just stability, and move it quickly, back and forth, back and forth.
Clucking is optional here.
You can cluck all you want. That's right. That's it. Okay, great. And now let's recheck your balance. Hopefully you at home doing the same thing.
Better.
Whew, instantly. Isn't that amazing? Better. That's the thing. When you feel something improve your balance, it's almost instantaneous.
Yep.
When something is not quite sure, that's usually a no, right? We want to improve those things. But that one definitely. So forward and backward head motion. Okay. All right. So those are some wonderful ways to improve your balance that don't necessarily have to take up too much time, or you don't even need to go anywhere to do it. You can do it right in the privacy of your own home. You can do it while you're brushing your teeth. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's get into a little bit of mobility now. We're going to just work on what we call swaying of the hips. A frontal plane, which means the direction of motion is going to go side to side. So what we're going to do is just simply glide your hips left and right. And as you do that, the head is going to stay in one place. As you glide off to one side, what does it feel like in terms of the muscles reaction? And then go off to the other side. And just get a sense of what that feels like. Do you get a sense that it is easier to just fall off to one side, and it's almost like you have to coordinate the movement to get across to the opposite side? Just get a sense of how your body moves. And just appreciate the differences from one side to the other. Do you find that you are rotating ever so subtly in your body to allow you to go onto one side, and not rotating, going to the opposite? So with this motion, what we're going to do is as the pelvis and hips glide off to one side, the opposite side arm is going to reach in the opposite direction. Because what we're going to try and do is encourage oppositional motion in the body. Meaning that as the pelvis travels toward my left, my torso is going to reach toward my right, allowing for all the tissue down the left side of my torso to feel what length is like. And when the pelvis travels to the right and the left arm reaches across to the left, I get the same sensation on the opposite side. Just see, does that help things out? Now, if you start feeling your lower back with this motion, it could be many factors, but one typical one is that the hips are tilted forward. So just think of lifting the front of your pelvis upward or tucking your tailbone downward, and then see what that shift is like. Is that easier on the back? Chances are it feels different. Hopefully better. All right, so that's swaying. Let's do this. We're going to take 1 foot forward, 1 foot back in a stride or a split stance. Great. So in this position, with the forward leg, that allows this hip to be ever so slightly higher than the hip on the opposite side, on that back leg side. So we have a subtle tilt to the pelvis. Then my ribs have to maintain balance over my feet by tilting in the opposite direction. And my head, funny enough, must maintain a level environment by tilting opposite to the ribs. So we've got the pelvis tilting off to that side, rib cage tilting off to that side, and head tilting off to that side. Now all we're going to do is we're just going to glide forward and back onto the forward leg, and then back off again. Now, as you're gliding back and forth, we're going to try and encourage these oppositional motions. And the way that we can do that is by taking the arm of the back leg side, opposite of the forward leg, and we're going to raise it upward as you come forward. And then you can bring it back down again. Gliding onto that forward leg, lifting that arm, and coming back down. So as Julian's doing this, look at the fabric of his shirt. And even into the pants, you'll see where the fabric folds occur. The creases are basically where the muscles are getting lengthened. So you can see all through the the right side, he's lifting this side up on his left side. Go ahead and lift that higher as you come up. Good, good. And then go back down. The one thing I'm going to encourage Julian to do also is let his head and shoulders stay over the hips. I'm not trying to let the hips go forward without the whole body going forward. So everything's going to come forward at the same time. It's not like the hips are trying to win the race in any way, and you don't want your head winning the race. Everything's going to meet across the finish line at the same time. And as he does that and raises that arm up, that is lifting that rib cage, tilting it over to that side. The head has to stay level. So now he's getting this huge stretch on his neck. And then let's switch legs. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So in Julian's case, he's going to bring his left leg forward, right leg back. And if you're feeling like you need a wall or chair, by all means, keep something close. We don't want you toppling over. As you glide forward, we're going to take the opposite arm of the forward leg and lift upward. And what we're trying to do is create space all down the side of the body here, as well as open up space on the side of the neck. Beautiful. And now one side most likely is going to feel just a little bit more of opening, restriction, opening up, compared to the opposite side. And you might find that on this side, you really felt your hip open, but on the other way around, with the other leg forward, you really felt your neck opening up. It's just the way in which you found unique ways of moving that's developed tension in different areas of your body, maybe compared to somebody else. Beautiful. Okay. So now, we've worked on forward and backward motion. We've worked on side-to-side motion, but we haven't done much in the way of rotation to speak of. There's been some, but let's focus that a little bit more. What I'd like you to do is, let's see if you can keep your torso still and just simply turn your hips and your head to the right and to the left. Can you, well, what we call disassociate, can you disassociate these movements so that the torso stays in one place while the head and hips move in the same direction? In essence, we're creating this oppositional motion with rotation. Pelvis rotating that way, but my ribs must rotate to face forward in the opposite direction. And then the head is rotating opposite to the rib cage. When we do the same thing on the opposite side, the same thing occurs, just in the opposite direction. Now let's try this. Let's try and keep your head and hips still, but rotate the rib cage and shoulders.
Oh yeah, that's a little different side to side.
Yes. Now, he's noticing some different side to side. That just tells us, okay, we've got these subtle imbalances, but if we start to explore these movements, maybe those imbalances will settle back down. Okay. What if we were to incorporate maybe an arm motion? So what I'd like you to do is we're going to take your one arm with the palm up, and you're going to take it back behind you on that same side. So in my case, I've got my right arm up with the palm face up, and I'm rotating around to the right. And I'm going to feel my pelvis rotate until it reaches its end range. Then I'm going to rotate my rib cage until it reaches its end range. Then I'm going to take my head and my arm and take it to its end range before returning back to center. When I come back to center, I'm going to just turn my palm downward, same arm, and I'm going to continue across to my left side. I'm going to rotate through my pelvis, rotate through my rib cage, rotate through my head, as well as my arm. Now let's just do that one more time for this arm. Palm facing up, right arm rotating back to the right so the thumb leads the way. Just continuing with the pelvis, then the rib cage, with the head, and with the arms. And then last time coming across, palm facing downward, coming across the body, rotating the hips, rotating the rib cage, the head and the arms. Okay, let's try the opposite side. Left arm, in my case, is up, palm up, and now I'm going to rotate left, starting with my hips. The hips reach their end range, rib cage takes over, arm, and head follow. Then, with the left arm palm up, I'm flipping it downward and rotating to my right. My hips end their range of motion. The rib cage continues on. The head and the hand follow suit. What does this feel like?
Stuck.
Oh, all right. Provided that there is no pain, just keep working with this. Now, if you're experiencing pain, it's your body saying, I do not want to do this. Find something else to do or find a different way of doing it because this is not working. So we don't want to travel into pain because actually pain will cause us to tighten up even further. So don't try and be brave and get that bravado to muscle through anything. We're really trying to unlock all your restricted areas. So far, so good?
It opened up right away, too.
It opened up right away.
Once I stopped muscling it, the movement actually got easier.
All right, once he stopped muscling it, the movement got easier. I love hearing that. Just out of curiosity, check your balance now. Totally solid. Okay, what we've just done is we've explored three-dimensional motion. We've awoken the nerves that connect muscle to other tissues, and we've gotten the bones and the joints to explore what it's like to actually travel through three-dimensional space. So the muscle tissue and all the connecting other tissue had to respond to the bones moving. So we got the body, hopefully, to a more balanced state where the body thrives and where balance is actually much more optimally attained. Okay, so tell you what, let's go into a little bit of Lunge Matrix. Now, what we're going to do is, you can kind of see on the floor here, we've got these tape marks going north, south, east, west, and then the other 8 points of the compass, northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest, and so on. That's kind of going to be the stepping direction I'm going to ask Julian to take right now. So, Julian, if you just stand in the center there, and now try and only go as far as you feel safe and comfortable with your stepping. That's it. Going to go forward, and then I would like you to draw yourself back, and then switch legs and take a step with the opposite leg. Great. Now, some people may call this lunging, and that means just like a fencer's lunge. We're just stepping forward and bringing our weight onto it. You could call it stepping, whatever you'd like. Now, Julian, in his case, he may want to go deeper, and that's quite all right. Whatever your level of ability is what you want to try and challenge. So, with this lunging forward, he's actually taking his body's mass, creating some momentum, and stopping it, and then having to come back to his central place of balance. Let's do the same thing, but this time go backwards. Now, when you go backwards, you really got to bring your weight onto the back leg, and then push forward. This is going to be very awkward. You may want to do this near a wall, somewhere where there's chairs or something, because this is probably the scariest way in which to move. Number one, we can't see where we're going, so it's a blind motion. And it is one that we typically don't do on a regular basis. Very few of us walk backwards as a regular event. There you go. A couple more like that.
Is that a race waiting to happen?
That's it. So this is really, ultimately, what fall prevention is all about. Can you control your body's mass in any direction, respond quickly, and then redirect the mass back to a place of safety? Because everyone's going to trip all through their life. No matter how old you are, how young you are, we're all going to lose our balance one time or another. The question really is, can we control our bodies after we've lost our balance? Or do we come crashing down? Okay, let's go side to side with your stepping now. I'd like you to just step off to one side, and then step off to the other. Great. Can you redirect your energy back to center, and then can you travel off to the opposite side? Marvelous. Just going back and forth like that.
Well, that was a pop.
Aha! So now the body is opening up with these places that may not experience these movements all that much. Tell you what, Julian, let's go in with a diagonal step. So you're going to go out to 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock, or northwest and northeast. That's it. We'll just take a couple steps back like that. Good. And really what we're doing is we are retraining your neuromuscular system. Your nervous system is getting a lot of information right now as to how do I coordinate these movements these aren't necessarily things I'm accustomed to, so I've got to figure out a proper pattern of motion, a mapping out, if you will, of how to redirect my mass and my energy. So it's a really nice reminder. That's why dancing is fantastic. Okay, let's go back southeast, southwest. There you go. And if you want to, you can even rotate back there, kind of stepping back and across if you want to add that to it. Obviously, we could add more weight into his hands in the forms of dumbbells or a grandchild or whatever you want to call it, right? We can load his body more as time goes by to make it a strength exercise. But right now, I'm much more interested in coordination, balance, mass management. How does he control all this? Beautiful. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So then, tell you what, we're coming near the end. Let's do we've given you a whole bunch of different movements. We've worked on your visual field, your vestibular system. We've worked on your proprioception, knowing where your body is in space, and waking up those nerve endings. Yeah, so let's do a little bit of interval training. Let's get the heart rate up and work on some endurance. If you want to grab the timer and one of those chairs over there and bring it on over, we're going to have you do a little upper body endurance action. And yeah, Tabatas would be great. We'll put you on for 20 seconds of work with a 10-second break. 20 seconds of work with a 10-second break. You're going to start off by sitting in the chair. How about that? You've been standing on your feet for too long now. You can go ahead and relax. Not ready, ready, and stand on up and sit back down. That's right. You forgot what you came for. You got to sit back down. Oh, but now you're going to stand back up again. Great. So we're just working on squats. That's it. Waking up his legs for 20 seconds. Go along with this. Sit up, stand up, sit down. Stand up, sit down. We're just going to go for 20 seconds. You'll probably be able to do maybe about 8 to 10, maybe 12 repetitions. Beautiful. Then go ahead and stand up. Get 10 seconds to catch your breath. Now what I'd like you to do is just shadow boxing. I want you to make some punches. And go. That's it. Good. Be light on your feet. Go ahead and get on your toes a little bit. And if you feel like you want to move around, you want to turn your body, you go right ahead. That's it. Anywhere you want to reach. You can go with uppercuts toward the ceiling, down low, across, kind of like you just did the Lunge Matrix. There you go. All right. 10 seconds. We're back to squatting. Now, if you want to, this time, have your feet close together or wider apart, whatever you feel the need for it. And begin. That's it. We can make this more demanding, obviously, by adding weight to his body, but we can also change the tempo. So if you wanted to try going slower, the muscles don't have the momentum, and they have to control his body all the more. So that might actually be more intense. All right, we're back to boxing, but let's do this. Can you quickly grab that resistance band that you have? And you're just going to put it around your shoulders, holding on to both ends. That's it. And now start punching with some resistance bands. All right. So we just made it a little bit more demanding, giving him a little rubber band behind him. So that rubber band's trying to pull his arms closer to his body, and he's got to push against it every punch he makes. That's it. You're good. Looking good. Just like that. All right. Back to squats, if you would. This time, let's just take one foot slightly in front of the other, if you would. And go ahead and have a seat. Oh, tricky. And then come on back up again. Now, for some of you, if you've got achy knees, and this doesn't feel good, remember the rule that we spoke of earlier. We don't want to go into pain. So find a place of movement that's not going to be painful, that's going to be painless. And start moving through that. There you go. All right. We're going to go back to the bands. There you go. Right around the back of the shoulders. All right. Now, one thing we didn't deal with yet is dual tasking. So what I'm going to ask Julian to do now is I want him to name a food item starting with the letter A and going all the way through the alphabet. Oh. And I'm going to ask him to do this for the rest of the workout now.
Apple.
Okay, go ahead and rest. We're going to go back into squats. And almost with every repetition, you've got to think of a word now that food begins with B.
Oh, here we go.
Go.
Banana. Caramel. Donuts. There's a lot of sweets in here, guys.
Keep on going.
E. Oh, E. Do I know any E's? Epazote. So, spice.
All right.
French toast. Garbanzo beans.
As you can tell, he's not a nutritionist, but that's okay. We're going to keep on going. You're on to G.
We're on to G. Okay.
Foods beginning with G. Go.
Garbanzo beans.
H. Hominy. Okay.
Hominy.
I.
Oh, I'm coming up with some blanks. Ice cream. Oh,
Ice
guys.
cream. J.
We're going downhill here. Jamaica. Yeah.
K.
We're gonna go. Where are we going with K?
All right, and that is it. Beautiful. You can have a seat.
Guess I don't know any.
No, that's all right. You did fine. You did fine. Now, there's some importance there in terms of brain health. We want to keep our wits sharp. We want to be able to stimulate our nervous system the best we can, not just through movement, but through our visual field, our vestibular field, and thought, cognitive thinking. So that's a nice drill to have. It doesn't have to be food, and it doesn't even have to start with the alphabetical order. You can just think of a whole bunch of different things. For instance, can you exercise and count back from 100 by threes out loud? Some of us can, some of us are going to struggle with that. That's okay.
We're gonna leave that for the next workout.
Yeah. What about animals? Can you name breeds of dogs? And it doesn't have to be alphabetical. Just with every movement you do, think of a breed of dog, right? Any animal in the animal kingdom, you can just start putting out there. You could start to recite nursery rhymes while you're exercising. Yeah, any of these things to try and create a dual tasking system would be ideal. So let's do some cooling down now. The legs are kind of warmed up, I'm sure, after those squats.
A little bit.
That's it. The torso got some nice action with those punches going on. So let's do a little bit of cool down process. If you would just cross one ankle over the opposite knee. All right. For some of you, you're going to feel a stretch just like that. But if you're not feeling too much of a stretch, you can always just gently bow forward in that seated position. And then you should begin feeling the back side of the hip of the leg that's crossed over the opposite. You feeling that a little bit?
It's nice. That's tight there.
Nice. Okay. And you notice he's moving in and out of it. He's teaching his muscles what they should do with movement, and it's not just a static hold trying to force a muscle to do something that it's reluctant to do. But if you do it dynamically, moving in and out, it may be a little bit more willing to open up in the future. So let's just switch legs and see what the other hip is like. Oh, I can tell. He saved the best for last, which is what most people do. They favor a certain direction of movement. So, yes. So now we're seeing there's subtle imbalances even to the most athletically inclined individuals. In fact, those that are the top level athletes in our society are probably the greatest at getting around their imbalances and finding subtle ways to compensate to still achieve the goal of their athletic pursuits. That's it.
Opened up though.
Yeah, it did. That's great. So let's just take that leg and you're going to extend it out so that your knee is straightened and the roof of your foot is being pulled back toward you. Beautiful. All I'd like you to do is take the same side arm and you're going to take the hand as if you're going to shake somebody's hand just inside the sole of that foot. Yeah, that's it. And then just bring yourself back up to a nice seated posture. Now, rather than thinking of reaching forward with the whole body, I'd actually encourage you to think of pushing the upper body back toward the seat rest while the arm reaches forward. So you're really flexing through your spine. And that's going to have a different sensation compared to just letting everything go forward with this. Yes, you can see he's flexing through his spine, getting that whole backside to open up. And then after you've tried a couple of there, we'll have you switch over to the opposite side. Same thing, flexing the roof of the foot upward, taking the same side arm and reaching downward. Now, if we were to ask Julian to take his opposite arm and reach, well, that's going to achieve an even greater degree of intensity to try to open those muscles up.
It's a little tighter.
A little bit. So that's why we start with the same arm first, and then you can always progress on to the opposite side. That's it.
Ooh, this was supposed to be easy, huh?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, surprisingly. Let's just do this. Let's just finish by opening up the shoulders a little bit. I'm going to ask you to curl your fingers inward with your palms facing forward, knuckles applied on the temples. Beautiful. Now, all I want you to do is bring your elbows close together and then further apart. And just back and forth. I mean, we had you looking like a pigeon or a chicken earlier, and now we got the wings moving. It's going to be a complete set right here. That's it. Get those elbows all the way in. Oh, and don't worry, if there's a few of you at home that are struggling to get those elbows to touch, we'll wait. Keep going. You're doing great. Yeah, he's almost there himself. And what we're really doing is we're just reminding the shoulder girdle of the gliding process that should occur, the hinge function the shoulder joint should do, but how those scapular or shoulder blades should unlock from the rib cage and be able to glide over the surface of the rib cage, which a lot of times gets gunked up and restricted. So we're just creating better movement, just like you did with your hips. Beautiful job. Okay, so there you have it. There is our senior fitness. We've worked on improving brain function, improving your visual system and vestibular system, your ability to know where you are in space, your coordination, dual tasking. I'm spent. I don't know about you. Woo. All right.
I can't even have a breath over here.
There you go. So it's going to be every Tuesday at 11 a.m. We're going to give you another installment next week, but you're welcome to just check out all the other workouts that are on this page. Just go to the left-hand side of the page, click videos, and you'll see them all come out on that page. Until then, we'll see you next time, and stay healthy.